For many people who are asked the question, how do you stop emotionally eating? The first thing they will say is, just don't buy chocolate bars, or don't buy crisps, don't have it in the house, don't put that temptation in your way, da 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 da. And they don't really understand that it's so much more than that. It's not about just not having things in the cupboard to stop you craving them. You're always going to have those cravings come up. It's just how you manage them. At the end of the day, if we are feeling in such a hurt place, and if we're really feeling that pain, we will do anything like possible to go and get that food that helps us feel better, because emotionally eating is just a way of self-soothing. It's just another coping mechanism that helps us feel better in the moment. For those who don't struggle with emotional eating, they don't understand the rush that we get from food. And it's particularly difficult because we have to eat at least 3 times a day, plus snacks. So for someone to say, oh, just put the chocolate bar down or don't have it in the house, it can be really frustrating because it's not actually getting to the crux of the problem, the root. And emotional eating is emotionally charged. You cannot outrun emotion with logic. Emotion and imagination beat logic every single time. And so when something is emotionally charged, it's not only that we are going to something to help us feel better in that moment, there is also shame and guilt attached to that feeling better through eating. So we feel bad, so we seek food that helps us feel better, the ones that are typically high in salt, fat and sugar. We feel better momentarily in the moment, and then in comes the flood of guilt and shame because we feel bad that we have eaten to feel better. The cycle then continues round. That's why so many of us struggle, because if it was that easy, all of us just wouldn't struggle with emotional eating. Other people may not turn to food. They may turn to drugs, alcohol, abusing other people to make themselves feel powerful. Whatever is outside of us that we take in to help us feel better, whenever we rely on an external solution to solve our internal issues, that is when it can turn into an addictive behavior or a coping mechanism or self-soothing mechanism that gets out of control if it's not dealt with in the moment or as soon as possible. The other issue is that when we feel that guilt and shame, we tend to tell ourselves, stop doing it, stop thinking about food, just don't think about food, just try and convince yourself to do something else, or you can overcome the cravings, you don't have to think about food, just, stop, don't. And that negative statement is not computed by the brain, okay? The brain and the mind cannot compute a negative statement. So if I tell you, don't think of a pink elephant right now, chances are you're thinking of a pink elephant, because the mind doesn't comprehend the don't, it just sees the image. So when I say don't think about chocolate, you're probably thinking about chocolate. So in your head, when you're going through this whole scenario, like, oh, I feel so bad, I just want a chocolate bar, but I shouldn't eat the chocolate bar, that's bad, that's naughty, that's bad. You're on top of everything else attaching morality to food. And when you do that, you then think you're even worse of a person. I feel bad, I want a chocolate bar, but I can't have a chocolate bar because that's bad and that makes me greedy. But I can't stop thinking about the chocolate bar. Just stop thinking about the chocolate bar. Chocolate bar, chocolate bar, chocolate bar. You go get the chocolate bar. Oh. Anyone who struggles with emotional eating issues knows that feeling of like, it's just pure calm amidst the storm. Nothing else will quell that feeling. Nothing else will calm that anxiety other than our favorite food to emotionally eat on or binge on. Not only because of the ingredients in it and the way that it causes us to have a rush of dopamine and the way that our brain binds to that dopamine. On top of that, you are just strengthening the loop. When I feel bad, I want to feel good, and I feel good through chocolate. So when I feel bad, I want to feel good. I feel good through chocolate. When I feel bad, I feel good through chocolate, bad, chocolate, feel bad, chocolate, feel better. And the loop goes round and round and round. And so when people try and give us advice, if I sit here and I'm talking to you right now, just stop eating chocolate, that's it. If that's your trigger food, just cut it out of your life forever. Well, why don't you just make a list of all the foods that are healthy and put that on your fridge and just stock your fridge up with healthy foods and you know, eat that instead? Or why don't you just, you know, why don't you go and do this, or go and play sport, or do X, Y, Z? I can imagine that you are feeling that wall go up right now. You're feeling that resistance, because it's like, do you not think I've thought about that? Do you honestly think I haven't tried that technique so many times in my life and I still can't do it, and it makes me feel even worse about myself? So how do we solve it? How do we end emotional eating? We need to get to the root cause issue. What is causing you to emotionally eat? Because the emotional eating is the symptom of the problem. It's not the actual problem itself normally. Okay, unless someone has been caught up in a particular behavioral loop that isn't emotionally charged, which is kind of, I would say, 1% of the time, that can be helped with more behavioral intervention. But 99% of the time, there is an emotional charge. You're not born with emotional eating issues. You're not born into this world, you know, knowing that you can just solve all of your problems with food. So what is it that has caused you to feel bad in the first place? We need to go back to that place, because before the emotional eating comes the feeling bad, and before the feeling bad comes the trigger to make you feel bad. So what is it that made you feel bad? And this could be obvious to you. It could be also pretty subconscious. Maybe something happened to you when you were much younger that planted a seed that then grew into the tree of disordered eating or emotional eating. And through therapy, we can understand that. We can go back and really unpack things. And my job is just to remove that blame and shame and guilt that either other people have put on you or you've put on yourself. And it has then multiplied throughout the weeks, months, years that you've been carrying this problem. So otherwise it could be a subconscious thing. It could be the way that you just witnessed an event or multiple events when you were younger, and you attached a certain meaning to that event. And maybe the reality of it is that it wasn't your fault, or you misinterpreted the situation. Maybe your parents actually weren't angry at you. They loved you. They were angry at themselves or each other, and they took it out on you. But a child doesn't understand that. So then the child knows, okay, well, I know I'm rewarded with food. I'm going to reward myself now with food and make myself feel better. There are many layers to this, and this is why it's really important that you seek professional help, because when we're struggling with this for so long, we can't see our blind spots. It's really, really difficult to take ourselves out of our personal situation, our subjective situation, and look at it objectively. It's much easier to look at someone else and feel like, oh, I'd know what I would do in their situation, because we don't have that personal attachment to it. But when you're really struggling with this, in the midst of everything, sometimes it can feel so lonely and difficult, and the only thing that makes you feel better in the situation is eating, which is the exact problem that you're trying to deal with. So that's why, to solve emotional eating, you need to find the root of the emotional charge. What is going on there behind it? And sometimes it's much easier to speak to a stranger who is a professional, because we are not involved in your personal life. We can see things for black and white. We have the tools, we have the techniques. We can, for a lot of you, we can have one session. It's happened. Some of my clients have been struggling for years with emotional eating, or binge eating, or compulsive overeating, food addiction, weight issues, body dysmorphia, whatever it is. And sometimes you just need to be able to reframe your whole thinking, because you get stuck in that habit loop that goes round and round and round. And the more you do that, the more you practice that, the stronger it gets. It's like a muscle. So we come in and we break that loop, and we really help you understand actually what's really going on, and sometimes it can be as simple as doing one therapy session. And I could literally, I used to do this, I never wanted to say that out loud because I felt like people would never believe me, they think it's too good to be true, they'd think I would be some quack telling people that we can help you in one session. And it doesn't happen 100% of the time. I would be lying if we said that every single person, it just took one session, but the truth of it is that it's possible. It can happen to you, and even if you didn't have just one session, maybe you'd need 2 or 3. What's 2 or 3 sessions compared to struggling with this for a lifetime, or however many years you've been struggling with it? If you really want that result and you're dreaming of changing your relationship with food and really having the most amazing, balanced, healthy relationship with food that you can have, and that I've witnessed not only in myself but in other people. This is the reason why I got into it, because I know what it's like and I know how it feels to come out the other side. Like, you can have that. So what is a few sessions compared to everything that you've been struggling with? So if you are interested, you can find the link down in my description box below. You can click the link in my banner, or there is a link in bio somewhere. You can connect to my Calendly page and you can just book your consultation. It's free. You might as well show up for a consultation and just see how you feel and see if it's right for you, because our number one mission is to get you the results that you want and deserve for good. So you can move on with your life and create this amazing relationship with food where you can literally just take or leave food as it comes, and you're not thinking about it constantly, you're not obsessing over it, you're not constantly watching food programs or looking at food pictures in magazines, or you're not constantly trying to deprive yourself, or you're not constantly stuck in this emotional eating habit loop. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.